To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press. Your current balance is $8.19. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Good morning, sunshine.
Hello. Hey. Hello.
How are you today?
Good.
What's new in the zoo?
Beautiful day. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just woke up out of some crazy dream that this girl is kissing a fish.
Oh, wow.
It was so
Oh, my goodness.
weird. Yeah,
Isn't it supposed to be like the frog that gets kissed?
Yeah,
Turns into the prince?
I think so. Yeah. So
Maybe that's a sequel.
I don't know. So what's new?
We've been locked down a whole lot for COVID.
Oh, this is nuts.
Yeah. I got you guys a Christmas card that y'all sent me.
Oh, good.
Thank y'all for that. That was awesome.
No problem.
Yeah. Where's Rudy at work?
Yeah, he's here.
Hey, Jacob, how you doing, man?
What's going on, Rudy? I'm sorry I'm calling y'all so early. I forget that I'm like an hour ahead of y'all.
Hey, it's never a problem, man. Never a problem. Hey, one of the things about mailing you is they got that dang restriction. I think they don't allow you any mail more than an ounce, right?
Yeah.
That sucks, man. I got a lot of stuff I want to mail, and every time I see that on the computer about you, it's like, oh, I can't.
Books.
Well, you can get a book, but I can't mail you anything more than an ounce, which is a stupid restriction.
That's ridiculous.
I know.
It really is. That's like, what, 5 pieces of paper max?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It may not even be 5. I don't know. I'd have to go check.
Yeah, I think it might be
3.
that or 4 front and back. The restrictions are ridiculous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, how are you guys doing? You guys have you been affected by the virus?
No.
We go to the dodgiest places in Dallas, and we never get sick.
Well, all glory to God. We're not, we give glory to God for that. But this whole virus, I believe it's like one big, gigantic psychological operation, man.
Oh, definitely. I caught the virus. I tested positive for it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in a new building and everything. But if you heard the news, I would look like the guy from Tales from the Crypt.
Right.
But but in reality, I just couldn't smell, couldn't taste for like 2 weeks, and then all was fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine now.
Yeah. Well, your immune system that God gave you took care of it, man. You don't need to. We don't need to shut down all of society and lock up our old people and social distance and shut down our businesses because of this stuff.
Even if I was walking over dead bodies left and right, we never should have done this lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, I think that it could have been orchestrated to affect the economy, to make the person in office look bad,
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you on that. Hey, I guess Daniel Borden got out, huh? That's good news. I hadn't heard from him, but I think yeah, that's great. That's great.
Thank
I wish you would. I wish you were out too, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy. I'm glad he's out. I'm really happy. I guess the next one is Ramos.
Yeah.
And then me.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to talk to, I guess, Richmond and write them about my release date right now. I'm trying to get them to acknowledge that I spent the time in Arkansas because the time that I'd done before I got extradited, I don't know if they
count it.
I don't know if they're gonna my mom just went down to the jail and got a piece of paper printout and has sent it to me, so now I'm waiting on it so I can say, look, the date I was locked up was October 10th.
Yeah.
I don't know why my release date's the 29th. That's over, way over what I should be serving.
Right.
So,
right.
Some people are saying that the time they're doing during COVID is more not valuable, but like counts for more than regular time because of the lockdown time.
It's like you're being constantly punished because you're locked up and you don't get as much.
So you get time off at the
You
end.
should get time off your sentence, because it's like
Yeah.
all lockdown and stuff.
Oh, we've been on lockdown like on and off for like, I don't want to say like 9 months because
Whoa.
it was kind of spotty. But
Yeah.
it's like we stopped going to chow hall like months ago. So they just bring trays and keep everybody in the pod, and then they would give us rec for a little while, and then they would get rid of it, and then they would give us rec for a little while, and so they just started giving us rec again. Obviously not to go outside, to go out there, but they have the rec yards divided into a little tiny yard and a big yard. So it was a little tiny yard. And there's no weights or nothing out there, so I'm just trying to go out there and stand around.
Whoa.
Yeah. Hey, is there any books we can get for you if opportunity comes up, or is there anything that didn't you like poems by Robert Frost? Is that right? Am I remembering right?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
My cell partner has like a bunch of he's got a book on poetry in there that I was reading, but I'm trying to think of a book that I would need right now.
Well, if you think about it, yeah.
What are you gonna say?
I'm sorry, man.
I think 1984 is at the top.
1984.
It's at the top of the Amazon selling list right now.
They'll probably ban that book eventually.
Someone just sent me that, and I just read it.
Oh,
all the way
good.
through, so
Good.
yeah.
Good. There's two
I was
others like
reading,
it. There's two others just like it. One of them is Brave New World, and the other one is Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, I think I might have heard of Fahrenheit 451, but I've never read that. I started reading Brave New World by Huxley, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I started reading that in jail, and so there's another book I was reading, and it was about it came out like during the 70s, and it was a book about what's the word I'm looking for? Like a egalitarian society, right?
Yeah.
And so people who were too smart people who were really smart had to have loud noise. They had these headphones put on their head when they took tests, where loud noises would blare in their ears, so they couldn't concentrate. And they didn't overperform. They had people who could run faster than everyone else, braces put on their legs, so they would handicap pretty much people. But it came out the 70s. I'm trying to think of the name of the book, but it was
weird.
It was like a window of extreme equality or whatever.
Yeah.
But it sounded interesting. So I'm trying to think what else I've been reading.
Can you receive hardback books or only paperback?
I can receive hardback books.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I got Death of the West by Patrick Buchanan. Was good.
You
read that one?
Did you get Riding with Tupper or Once in a Million?
One in a Million, but I don't know if that is.
Oh, hey, that's the one that they censored and was like, oh, you can't have that. That's, yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, guys, that's ridiculous. They love censoring my books. They take great delight in that.
Right. What was that one you mentioned before we started talking? You mentioned one of them, and you said, did we hear about that?
I'm trying to remember the name of it. I was hoping maybe you had read it.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go back to the book that I read about it, and I'm going to find it. And I'm going to send it to you. So if you haven't read it, you might like it.
Okay.
I'm reading a lot of history. I don't know why, but it's you can read history and know it, and then read it again, and it's still entertaining to me. I don't know why, but I guess I'm just that much of a history buff.
It's like the Bible.
It's
yeah.
It's
the Bible.
I'm like, man, you said what?
It's like the Bible.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of replay value to it, So it's just, I was reading. Someone had a copy. Have you ever heard of March of the Titans?
March of the Titans. I've heard about it. I don't think I've read that one.
It's pretty much an outlook on the history of Europe from the beginning all the way towards modern times. And so it's by Arthur Kemp.
Okay.
And I'd read it before, and so I just happened across somebody who happened to have a copy, and so I started reading it again. I was like, man, this is just, I can't believe that I still am interested in this book. Like, how many times can you read about the Ottomans and, and like, how many times can you read about the Huns? And
right.
But I'm like, well, it's still entertaining me, so.
That's good, man. That's good.
But I also am trying to, like, think about small businesses, because my cell partner is, like, big into, like, small businesses and trying to, he's big on, because he's about to go home, so he's big on, like, swing trading and stock markets and like, I'm trying to think of what's another thing, like small businesses, so.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. I think we're all going to have to, like, have a plan how to take care of ourselves outside of this economy, because they're going to, like, you know, they're gonna like make it very hard for small businesses, but you know, it's good to have a plan anyway.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's like, I hate to say it, but it's like you have to maintain a separatist mindset. If you don't, then you can't really get mad at the government, because, like, at that point they own you. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is, I mean, I'm not throwing mud, because at this point I'm dependent on the government 100%, especially now. But, you know, it's like, I would like to theoretically get into a position where, and that's the American way.
Yeah.
Like, the American way is you know, like an extreme libertarian kind of point of view, you know, like coming out here and roughing it on the frontier and settling and making small government and not really depending on big government, you know. That's the American dream. That's the American way. But we've moved away from that, sadly, so I would like to theoretically get to where I don't have to use a post office. I don't have to use, you know, a road. But at this point, it's only a pipe dream at this point, so I make it, you know, reality.
Oh yeah, no, the Bible says without a vision the people perish, and there was something I was going to mention. I can't think of what. The China. It's called the China Good Citizen Program, and in China they have.
I've read about that.
Yeah, man, they're trying to bring that to America, where they have facial recognition and tracking and cashless society with this Bitcoin crap, and they automatically determine when you jaywalk, and they'll demote your score, and if your score gets low enough, you can't even buy a bus ticket, or you can't get on a plane or anything.
Yeah, and then, like, your employer looks over all this and was like, oh, man, you've jaywalked a couple times. I don't know if I want to hire you.
Right. That's coming, man. That's coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at the, they want to, like, a lot of the people out there today want to talk about the contrast going on with the what's the word, the controversy at the Capitol right now.
Yeah.
Well, they want to draw a contrast and be like, well, if that was on the other side, the police would have had a National Guard there already. And I'm like, well, you know what, they might have a point about that. But let's draw our own contrast. After Ferguson was burned to the ground, like, they didn't have anyone, they couldn't find who did it, you know?
Right.
They can't find the guys who did it. Well,
right.
They locked up hundreds of people in the last 3 days.
Yep.
They went across, you know, they went to every dark corner of the earth to find these people and take them back. So that just shows me that all the people that were doing much rioting and looting before this, you just let go.
Yeah.
If you could have found them that easily, then why didn't you find the guys that were throwing Molotovs in, you know, was it Kenosha, you know?
Yep. No, you're right, man. You know, they're going to call all of us domestic terrorists pretty soon. I mean, if you don't agree with the government and you have your own opinion about anything, you're going to be a domestic terrorist.
Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden doesn't pass some sort of you know, souped up anti-terrorist legislation that's going to be like, you know, they're going to give you incentives. Does your neighbor have an American flag? Does your neighbor shoot his guns? Why don't you report him to the FBI and we'll just, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. You know, he was giving a speech not too long ago, and he says we're going to specifically help, and then he lists like women-owned businesses, Jewish-owned businesses, black-owned businesses. He was like listing all these minorities. I mean, it was like incredible. And it's like, what is this, man? You're gonna like, I don't understand like the government like calling out ethnicities that they're gonna specifically help and like exclude white people. It's like purposely.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of everything that I grew up with, man. I thought everybody was like fair and equal, and Martin Luther King even said, you judge a man by the content of his character, not the color of his skin. But that's exactly the opposite of what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you they love it when you hit them with that.
Oh yeah, they can't handle that.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. Like, I mean, think about it. That sounds like what happened in the apartheid cell. You know what happened in the apartheid cell? They were like, well, you've been in a position of privilege, so they called them was it a privileged citizen class or something. And so for a long time it was only for like white men, and then they were like, they extended to women, because they have this big Marxist, women are tramped down upon, and they don't have a voice, but guys were having to stay at home or scramble just to get a job or find some sort of work, and the women were working for a long time. Well, then they realized that all these women were still holding jobs, so they eventually started sanctioning them.
Wow.
That sounds exactly like what you were talking about with Joe Biden.
Yeah. Well, that privilege thing, they talk about white privilege this and white privilege that, but we have a black preacher, and he gave a sermon, and he called it Christian privilege. And he said that Christians walk around with an inheritance and a privilege that God has given them. And it was a really good sermon that really put that whole crap in its place, because I'm tired of hearing about white privilege. I'm sure you could talk a lot about white privilege, about how you got a fair day in court and spent 8 years in prison, So
yeah. It's just like, definitely. Oh, and not only that, it's just what I see on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
The way things happen in here is like, we don't run this.
Yeah.
It's sad because you see, from my time in prison, it's mostly, black gang members that run the system. They run everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a mentality of, I don't know, subservient to the state. It's like who is their leader? Do you? In other words, for me as a Christian, I have a divine leader that's God, and He gives me my rights and my inalienable rights. But for people that worship the state, if the state says to wear a mask and social distance and shut down your business and take this vaccine, and if the state says blah, 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 they always do what the state says, because it doesn't matter. It's like, that's what the state says. But for people that don't acknowledge the state as the highest authority, we're going to be put in a conflict with them, and it's going to come to, it's like two trains running into each other at some point.
Oh yeah. You're going to end up wherever these hundreds of people they're locking up. And I really feel sorry for most of these people, is because honestly, I believe that a lot of them just don't understand like what they just stepped in.
Yeah.
They think, okay, well, maybe I didn't break the window down, but I walked in there with everybody and walked around, in the foyer or something. And now they got felony trespass charges, and they're facing like 5 years,
Oh, yeah.
Or some of these people are facing 20 years or more, up to 20 years. And, some of these people in their 50s, they're never going to see freedom again. And if they do, their life's going to be over with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't really give Trump a pass either, man. In that speech he gave, he said we need to fight like hell. We need to show strength, and we need to march on the Capitol. So these people, I know that a lot of them are infiltrators from the FBI. I totally acknowledge that there are some of them that, probably were planted there to cause problems. But some of them, like you said, they just walked in, and now they're going to be facing felony trespass charges, maybe 5-10 years in prison. That's crazy,
and
man.
They're going to find each and every one, because they have the biggest criminal syndicate on the face of the earth, the Federal Bureau of Intimidation.
Oh, yeah.
And they have that, and they have endless resources. And
You have 1 minute remaining.
If you watch the news, they even say, look, you're not going to hide. We're going to find each and every one of you. And they will.
Yeah. Well, they got facial recognition software. They've already numbered them, I think, 1 to 500 or 550 or something. And they're like, they've got a picture with a number beside it, and they're looking for every one of them.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Hey, can I call you guys back?
Yeah, you bet. You bet, man. We'd love to hear from you. And that book I was thinking about earlier, I think it was called The Turner Diaries. It's been banned in every.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Actually, surprisingly, there are copies floating around the system that I've found.
Wow. I'm shocked.
Yeah, and they're old. It's so old. It's like, how long have these been in the system? Since the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to call you right back.
Okay, all right, man. Okay, Jacob. God bless.
All right, bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you for using GTL. Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Jacob Goodwin.
an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Augusta Correctional Center. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent calls from this facility, press 9. Your current balance is $7.04. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
Hello again.
Hey, man, I loved how you said Federal Bureau of Intimidation. I never heard that before. That's good.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's, well, I'm glad you liked it. You have, I don't have any copyrights on that, so
Okay,
I think you can,
I'll borrow it
use
from
that
you.
freely.
I'll borrow it from you.
I'm not going to ask for any royalties or anything.
Okay.
You know?
I'll give you credit and whatever comes of it, man. Whatever comes of it.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's just sad, you know, like the surveillance state. And the worst part about this civilization or our civilization is the idea that is propagated in our minds that there is a freedom, you know, that there aren't millions of micro drones flying around out there collecting information. And, you know, like sometimes apologize for that.
No problem.
Sometimes I'm like, man, maybe I'm just being super paranoid, you know, like one of them quote unquote crazy conspiracy theorists, right?
Yeah.
And then you have what was it? It was Julian Assange, or was it Snowden that leaked the NSA documents during the Obama administration?
Yeah, well, it was both of them have leaked documents. I think Snowden told us he wrote a book called Private Parts or something. But anyway, they both deserve a pardon as far as I'm concerned, and they both are heroes.
Oh yeah, and I can't remember, but it came out that he'd been. And I guess I have to confess my ignorance of the subject, but apparently they had leaked documents that the National Security Agency was compiling documents on everyday citizens.
Oh, yeah, that was Snowden. Yeah, I believe that was Snowden. Yeah, he said they were tracking and monitoring our email. And he even,
tracking our emails,
yes,
our phone calls, everything.
Yes,
which, we're supposed to have the right to privacy, so you have to have a search warrant for something like that. And they just didn't even care. They're just sitting there. Hundreds of people have been being surveyed by the, or monitored by the government, and he blew the whistle on that, and I'm like, wow, people tell you you're wrong so much, sometimes you start to believe them, and you see something like that, and you're like, oh my God, I knew it, I told you.
Oh yeah. In Broden in Snowden's book, I think it's called Private Parts, if I remember correctly. Anyway, there's a CIA video. It's the director of the CIA, and he basically brags. He says, "We are soon approaching a point where there will be no human communications that we cannot monitor or don't have a record of." In other words, he's bragging that every text we send, every email we send, every phone call, every website you visit, it's all documented somewhere, and they can go access it to document, to look up what kind of person you are and what websites you visit, what you purchase, what you don't purchase, who you talk to, that kind of thing. It's off the charts, man. And Snowden was the one who made that available to us, that we knew about it.
Yeah, that's just, and it's really sad, I've always, especially have a very paternal instinct, although I don't have any children, I always think of what kind of world they're going to grow up in, what kind of life will they lead, and to think that every move my kids make will be, will have Big Brother watching them at all times. It's saddening. It's sad. I think that's why most people just don't even want to have kids anymore. They're just so disheartened with the way Western civilization is going that they're like, you know what? I don't even want to try. I'm just going to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to be a pleasure worshiper, pretty much. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do, drugs, whatever, and I'm going to live a good life and be happy and do whatever I want to do, and then don't even worry about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so
eat, drink, and be merry because, tomorrow we die, so you might as well enjoy today. That's one attitude to approach life with. Hey, I need to correct myself. It wasn't Private Parts. That's a Howard Stern book. I can't stand that guy. But
okay, Rudy, what have you been reading?
I know, right? I know, right? The other book that Snowden wrote was called Permanent Record, and he talks about how we all have a permanent record, and they can all they document everything that we do, right? But going back to what you were saying, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. Yeah, that's one way to approach life. Yeah, but if you think the Bible's true, right, and there's a record of man, then that gives you an incentive to live right, even if you're in the middle of the Bible talks about living in the middle of a perverse and a crooked nation, and I believe we are living in the middle of a perverse and a crooked nation. So.
Yeah, well, that's definitely true. I mean, I've never had a deficit of positivity. At least in the last, I'd say 10 years of my life. But it's just sad that most people just get so disheartened with the way that things are going. And I totally understand that, so I try to make sure that I maintain positive attitude and bring joy to my fellow man.
Yeah, right.
And go ahead.
No. That's what else can you do, man? I mean, you and I, we didn't, as far as I know, we didn't volunteer to come out of the womb and show up in this world, right? I mean, we just found ourselves here, right? And so we have to ascertain what's this all about and what's my purpose and is there a God and is the Bible true? And there's no doubt that you could fall into a trap of life is not fair. This ain't fair. I'm a victim. You could do that, man. I can totally see someone who's been through what you've been through. You've never been in trouble with the law. You're looking at 8 years in prison for a scuffle that shouldn't have even deserved a day in prison. And the guy who started the fight didn't get thrown in prison at all, right? So it's you could fall into that trap of life's not fair. It's not just. And you either go into despair or depression, or you could say, you could have a lot of different attitudes that come out of that. But what you just said is, I'm going to maintain joy and try to bring light to the world for my fellow man. That's very admirable, man, because I do talk to a lot of prisoners, and they're just steeped in depression. And I really don't blame them. I try to encourage them with Bible verses, and I do believe there's a God, and I do believe that He has a plan for each of us. But you don't seem to have that problem of being steeped in depression, right? You've not fallen into that, so thank God for that.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy because I was just talking to the officer that's working the booth and was just I even told him that. I was like, man, life is all psychology and philosophy. You have to understand life is going to be a struggle, and if you're not ready for a struggle, you're not ready for life.
Yeah.
Because, there's going to be so many things that come at you from left field, and they're going to catch you off guard, and they're going to really, hurt you. Well, the thing is, once you understand that itself, that feeling and that struggle is in fact living, then you can learn to enjoy the struggle, and then you will be able to enjoy life, because that's what life is.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow, that's crazy that you had that mindset, and I don't know, I guess I kind of just grew into that. It's always coming naturally to have this mindset, and also to take virtues very seriously.
Yeah,
I was just talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about virtues aren't taken serious anymore. Virtues are that's just something cool you hear about on TV or something you just see on TV. It's courage, honor, they're like these distant ideals that are made up for the big screen.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. But how do people act when nobody's looking, or like they say you can discern the true character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. Like for instance, when nobody's looking and you're just dealing with somebody that you've never met before, how do you treat that person that you don't expect anything back from him ever, right? But how do you treat that kind of person?
The shopping cart.
Yeah, that's really good. I like that.
Yeah.
I definitely like that.
Or do you return the shopping cart?
Erin has this thing that she's been passing around about. Do you return the shopping cart after you shop? Because it's like there's no penalty if you don't return it and just throw it in the the next parking spot over, right? But there are those who return it anyway. It costs a little bit extra time, but they return the shopping cart back to the place, and it's like those people don't have to have a law in order to do the right thing. They do the right thing just because they feel compelled to do the right thing. You got a big speaker going on. You got a big speaker going on.
Yeah, yelling at the speaker. and that's funny though that you say that, because like I'm one of those people that will take the extra time to push the cart either in the little cart thing if I'm at the other end of the parking lot, it's a giant parking lot, or if I'm close to the door, I'll push it up into the go to the door with it and push it in.
Yeah.
And like I've always just done that. So it's like when you sit down, like, wow, I am a beast.
You are the guy who returns the shopping cart. I always bring it back. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I don't like, but a lot of people, in order to make excuses, because this got a lot of arguments on social media, right? But a lot of people will say, well, you need to give the what do you call it, the bag boys or the bag girls?
Cart pushers.
Yeah, you got to give them like job security, so it's okay to like. I'm like, no, man,
okay.
You got to bring it back to the place, man. You can't leave it out.
Saying that's like saying we need people who like come to your house and investigate, make sure you've been paying your bills.
Oh my goodness!
It's like, well, if we didn't have criminals, we wouldn't need police. Like,
oh right,
okay, what's wrong with that?
Right. What? One of my favorite
statements. Good criminals are doing for us.
Oh man, I tell you, well, the biggest criminals are the police, man. There's so much police brutality. I heard of another funny one, right? They say, I guess the government doesn't like no-knock raids because they talked about the storming the Capitol, right? So it's like they can come and do a no-knock raid on our house and they can murder innocent men and women, right? But when the American people does a no-knock raid on a house full of untouchables, Betsy, go wake up Grandpa. We can't have any of that. So like now everybody's a domestic terrorist, but they can do it to us all day long,
Oh yeah, definitely. They can invade your private property.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
That's
hilarious.
That AOC, that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez lady or whatever. You know who I'm talking about when I say AOC, right? That congresswoman that's a nut.
Oh yeah.
She's putting out like, I was in fear for my life and I was traumatized when all these people were coming in. It's like they're overplaying their cards so much, man. It's just insanity.
Yeah, not only that, it's like I can honestly, like in the videos of them like hunkered down that the media loves to play.
Yeah.
Like that honestly looks like a guilty person.
Oh yeah.
If you did nothing wrong, if I did nothing wrong, I'm not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna be afraid. Like I didn't do anything wrong. Like do what you will to me, but I didn't do anything wrong. Like these people were like, it was like, oh no, they finally caught us. Like
yes, that's a good analogy, Jacob. That's exactly right. It's like they were guilty. They know they've been doing a lot of illegal, immoral things, and they finally were caught. So they were like laying down under the seats. If you were righteous and you representative of the people, and the people are storming the Capitol, you would stand tall and talk to them when they walked in.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There was I read this one story, which maybe this isn't a good metaphor, but I read this story of this infamous National Socialist, Kuhn Quisling. He, if I'm pronouncing his name right, he's from Northern Europe. I think it was like Sweden. Maybe it wasn't Swiss. He was maybe he's Norwegian.
Yeah.
But anyways, when he came out of this like when he was campaigning for the National Socialists, he came out of this bar and a bunch of like anarchists were out there, right? And so he heard one of them say, I think we should smack him in the face, or we should shoot him or something. And like he was walking through the crowd and he stopped and he said, well, why don't one of you do it? And he said they said the whole crowd got quiet because he like turned and didn't run away from all these people.
Right.
And so that's kind of what it reminded me of, is like, if you didn't do anything wrong, Um, why would you feel guilty? You know, it's
Right.
like lying. I'm going to lie about something if I'm afraid and I feel guilty for the truth.
Right. Right. No, that's a good analogy. When they're hunkering down and laying down in the seats and acting all scared to death, I mean, that's because they know they've been doing a bunch of bad stuff and they got caught. That's a total proper analogy. You know, Oliver Cromwell.
Terrible.
Yeah, Oliver Cromwell, when he beheaded the king, I think it was in England, because he was doing a lot of traitorous stuff with France, I believe. He said, we're not going to like behead him in secret. We're going to do it in daylight in front of everybody, because we don't do things in secret. We do things in the daylight. So Oliver Cromwell's one of my heroes, by the way.
Yeah. Well, one thing I always like to say is, you know, like, the sad thing about government is, like, government isn't, what is, like, I ask people all the time, like, what is government? Well, most dudes in here do you have the criminal mindset, and they hate government. Oh, I hate government, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want nothing to do with government. It's all bad. It's evil. I don't like any rules. And it's like, well, it's not exactly true, and that's not exactly a good mindset. But government is a vehicle for the people.
Yeah.
We use government so that we can have roads and we can improve our quality of life, and that a roving pack of criminals can't just come to your house and, you know, hold you hostage and kill you. That's why we have police forces, you know. This isn't Somalia. But at which point the government no longer becomes the vehicle for the people and becomes its own entity, well, then it has the mindset of an entity. You know, that's why the Greek philosophers looked at states and government. They looked at it as any other creature: had life, death, old age. You know, middle age. Well, the same thing with our government. It's become its own entity. So now it's like us against them mentality, and it has self-preservation, which is what we're seeing. You know, by these hundreds of people that they're going to publicly hang.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it's an us versus them.
Really
it's an us versus them, as opposed to the government is an extension of the people, representing the people, for the people, by the people, and of the people. That's what it's supposed to be, you know. So.
Oh yeah, and you hear them telling, "Oh, we're your public servants. We do everything we can for you," and it's just like, okay, well, then, like, why are you charging someone who just walked in there and walked around with trespassing? You know?
Yeah. I agree, man.
And the other thing that I thought was really funny was, right, you watch the news, right? Every day, day in, day out, police brutality, you know, like the police are breaking in and killing all these people, you know, et cetera, right?
Yep.
Well, this guy, Chitnick or whatever his name is, Sputnik or whatever his name is, he gets, he dies. Oh my God, police, we need police. You can't do this to the police. The police are heroes, and they got close-ups on this guy crying at his funeral and all this stuff. I'm like, isn't these the same guys you were just saying are pieces of trash and should be defunded, and that they don't, like, they're just they're programmed to be systematically racist or something? Like,
yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're your heroes. Well, you need to make your mind up. Like,
yeah. They're not consistent in their values and belief systems. What's that, Aaron?
Hypocrite.
Yeah, they're hypocrites. The Bible talks about hypocrites 2,000 years ago, and there's hypocrites today.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely you are always going to have to be a hypocrite when your moral and political ideology has no base.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you're not solid, you're gonna like what? Like you're like water. You know, you're malleable. You move.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about me personally is I challenge myself. I always question my ideals, and I'm my own biggest critic. So it's like someone who comes up to me in the street, it's very rare, which I'm not so egotistical, I feel like it's impossible, but it's very rare that someone comes up to me and says, how do you feel about this? So if I thought it out, I'll say this is what I believe. And if a person says, well, what about this? Chances are I've already thought of that about a dozen times. And, you know, within my own mind and challenge my own ideals. So you're not going to catch me really off guard because I'm not afraid to challenge my own beliefs within myself.
Yeah,
So,
the truth doesn't need to censor speech because the truth can defend itself, right? It's like when you have a solid basis for your belief systems, you don't need to like stop the other guy from talking. But see, our enemies, like YouTube, Google, Facebook, they need to censor speech because they can't withstand the truth. And so the only way they win the argument is to like stop us from talking, you know?
gosh, like all that stuff's going Parler, like that's very eye-opening to see how these companies are, well, we're not going to let you use our sites to give donations to this party, and we're not going to allow this Parler app on our platforms. We're not doing any business with it. Like, they're trying to like stifle it. They're trying to blacklist it.
Yeah. The censorship, I don't know if you're getting a good feel for it, being in jail and all, but the censorship of conservative Americans
You have 1 minute
is
remaining.
is off the charts, man. If they have done this to the president, right? They've silenced him and taken him off Twitter, and his YouTube channel was just taken down today. And they of course they don't let him post on Facebook. I mean, if they can do that to him,
They took Ron Paul off.
they took Ron Paul off Facebook. They won't even let. He wasn't even like a big Trump supporter. They won't let Ron Paul
my
speak.
gosh.
It's crazy, man. It's really insanity. We really are living in 1984.
The day that Lindsey Graham becomes a far right activist is the day they take me out and hang me.
I know, right?
At the stake.
I know, man. It's insanity.
It was great talking to you. I'm about to lock down, but I'm gonna try to keep in touch with you and call you in a couple days.
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. And let us know if there's any
Sorry
books
it's
we
been
can
so
get to. Yeah,
A Google number.
yeah. No, I got it. Let us know if there's any
Y'all
books
have a-
we can get to you.
All right, you guys have a great day. It's great talking to you. I'll keep in touch with you.
Okay.
I'll get that name of that book for you too.
Okay. God bless you, Jacob.
Thank you for using GTL.
Good talking with you.